Since 1945, Weatherby's been building the finest firearms and ammunition in the world. And today, we're proud to continue that legacy from our facility in Sheridan, Wyoming. This is On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast.
Oh, Deej isn't here, so we don't have the fancy. I didn't make a fancy slide like Deej always does.
Nobody's going to watch now.
Fail.
This is going to be underproduced. Deej is our podcast producer. That's his title.
It is?
Oh, yeah. He's pretty much young Jamie from Joe Rogan.
JD, I'm just doing mic check. What'd you have for lunch?
I guess nachos.
And you were
making fun of us?
Yeah. Somehow.
I eat whatever my wife makes, and she made, it was a bowl of meat and salsa and beans.
Processed chips.
Was there chips?
Gluten-free kettle chips.
I'll give you a pass.
Maybe. Like quinoa
Until-
chips or something?
Seed oil dipped chips.
Seed oils are bad.
What's the seaweed? That's what I was thinking of. The seaweed chips, those are awful.
That sounds terrible.
They're the worst. It's just salt. It just tastes like salt.
Yeah. Which is actually tasting pretty good on carnivore. Salt is important.
Dude, I eat so much salt.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I have it like for a snack.
When you're sprinkling salt into drinks, it still weirds me out that you're just like,
I do a
need some of that.
little salt in the coffee. Have you done that?
I put salt in every drink
Butter.
I drink.
Don't you put butter in the coffee?
Yes,
thing?
salt and butter.
Is the
and
butter for taste or for more?
just
fat. dude.
more fat. Yeah.
He's got to produce those ketones.
You haven't gotten to where you're just on a thing of butter?
I mean, sometimes I got to clean the knife off. You know?
I had a piece of like Gouda cheese, and Savannah thought I was just eating butter. I'm like, not yet.
Almost.
No joke. I will somewhat often sprinkle. I've got like good salt, like high quality salt. Put it on a little bowl, and then eat it with cheese. Just dip the cheese. It's just a
Salt and
carrier
cheese
for
sounds
the salt.
good. Yeah.
It makes it more cheesy.
Yeah.
I like
So
it.
Megan
good.
puts salt on cookies. Sea
Yeah.
salt on cookies, and it is.
Yeah.
Little
It
contrast.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're not doing that, you're wrong.
Did we do the clap thing?
Nope, you can. I think you should. Whoa, that was a great clap.
That was good.
You're the new clapper.
I was like, Deej, maybe feel free to keep that banter in because that was pretty funny.
Welcome back to On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast. We are on the advent of SHOT Show. SHOT Show is going to be next week by the time this airs. And as is typical with SHOT Show, there are a lot of new products coming out. It's a great time to launch new products as we get ready for next year. This year, it's 2025. That's hard to believe. Anyway, we've been busy, little elves here at Weatherby, and we've got quite a few things that we've either participated in or are launching ourselves. So for our yesterday, we launched the new Range XP 2.0. Actually, before we get into that, I should tell you who I have with me here today. I just got so excited.
That's a great product launch. I'd be excited too.
Tyler, welcome back. Thanks for being here.
Yep.
JD, you got a new hat.
I did. Not this one, but like a general hat.
Yeah. Well, like, a roll, a hat. You were at Peak 44, and you've switched over to Weatherby.
The dark side. I did.
I'd call it the bright side. We're the positive side of the force, I think. But yes, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this XP 2.0.
I'm excited about it. Slick looking gun. Skip fluting is kind of one of the easier things to pick up that is different from the previous one, but same main features on it. But the skip fluting, new paint job, couple small things. Bolt knob we changed, but new calibers. That's going to be one of the bigger things that
We'll get there.
segue.
Mhm.
I won't give that away too quick.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna say just maybe talking about that stock. We kind of took the page out of some Peak 44 stock, and we did the custom hand painted side,
Yep.
which I think always looks good for when you're looking at this rifle on the shelf. Literally, someone is in the factory hand painting that with a sponge.
One at
So
a time.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy when you actually get to see the videos of stuff like that.
They'll be similar, but everyone's going to be unique.
I know I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, but I love giving tours and showing off how inefficient we are.
I don't think people have any clue, though, how much work goes into every one of them until they see it.
Maybe didn't come out just like I meant it to be. But
How much love we put into a rifle.
that's right.
There you go.
That's the secret ingredient. It does set us apart a little bit. Where I jokingly say it's not that efficient. It's not, because there's a lack of automation, but it is hand painted by a person, one at a time, and I mean it shows in a positive way. It's cool.
Feedback's been really good on it. So
Yeah, and that barrel fluting. I mean, not a lot of people are doing that at a production or a mass production level. So it's kind of like we try to pull things from a custom gun world and bring that to our consumer. So
Yeah, the skip flute's actually really it's a super cool look. I mean, when you almost have to double, triple take, like what's going on there? But each flute's like an inch long, and then it jumps up about an inch and then jumps back down. And so they're staggered. In theory, there's more rows of flutes as you go around the barrel, but because they are staggered, it just gives a really cool look.
yeah, that's cool.
I don't know of another production rifle, especially at $1,200 something bucks, that has that on there.
Yeah, you won't find one of those.
Magpul bottom metal, Magpul magazines, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So we did start shipping these. They are available now. You can find them on weatherby.com. We also pre-sold some to the distribution channel, so there are some available at other places as well. It's hard to say exactly where, but dealers have access. So go ask for one.
Yeah, that's some of the new stuff. Just to quickly highlight too, from the Range XP, if you weren't familiar with that, it does have the adjustable length of pull. So if you're someone who's shorter or longer, we've got a spacer system in the stock, so it'll fit you. And then also the adjustable cheek riser. So if you're running high or low scope rings, you can get that. Help me out, JD. What am I trying to say?
you can see through the scope
Cheek
better.
weld?
There you go. A good cheek weld. Yeah.
There you go.
And it's a set and forget. Once you set it for the height you want it to, tighten it down and you're good.
Yeah. So check out the Range XP 2.0. Along with that, I think it's just because it's more natural, JD, I'm going to go talk about this new cartridge, 7mm Backcountry. That launched on the 6th?
7th.
7th? That's what I said? Yep. The 7th. So that's Federal's new cartridge. And we've already had some questions, and you get some comments like, why would you guys do this? You've got a 7 Weatherby. You should have a faster 7. We get those questions. And why would you partner with another ammo company on a new cartridge? Well, it's well over a year ago. It may have been closer to 2 years ago. This is a relatively small industry. We've got friends all over the place, and I've got some good friends at Federal, and they got a text one day like, hey, I'd love to set up a call, see what you guys think about something we're working on. And so we set up the call, and they had some engineers on their side of the table, and we had some engineers on our side, and they started talking about what their idea was, which was what is now the 7mm Backcountry, and they have a new Peak alloy case. It's a steel case, but historically when I think steel case, I think like cheap Russian ammo. It's not that. It is reloadable, and the thing that's really unique about it is that it's essentially a high pressure cartridge. So on average, most of our SAMI pressures are closer to, or in the neighborhood of 60 to 65,000 PSI. This is closer to a 90,000 PSI cartridge, so closer to what we would use as a proof load on most of our inline cartridges. And because of their case design, there is essentially the same amount of rearward thrust on the bolt as a 60,000 PSI case. So I don't exactly know how they achieved that part. That's some of the black magic, I guess, that went into it. But through our testing, we had very good results, and we were intrigued by the advancement in technology where essentially, simply put, the whole ethos of this cartridge is to get really good 7mm performance out of a shorter barrel.
Yeah.
So they're getting that 7 PRC performance that you would typically need a 24-inch barrel for a 20-inch barrel.
Yeah, their benchmark was essentially a 170 hitting that 3,000 feet per second. And I think their terminal ascent, I think their box for the 20-inch one is right at 3,000. And we shot a few models. Like I personally, I shot the Alpine CT quite a bit in this just to check out the recoil. It's grouping great and stuff. But yeah, I had my little Garmin there and it was right at that 3,020, somewhere right in there. So
I hunted with it quite a bit this fall.
you also use an Alpine CT.
I did use an Alpine CT. It shot great. Terminal performance. Killed 2 antelope with a terminal ascents and performed fantastic. I mean, it's hard to say like, oh, it died great. But yeah, it did everything you would expect it to do. I did very much enjoy, because I'm a big fan of hunting with a suppressor, I very much enjoyed the shorter barrel. So I think, to me, some people are, you see the comments, there's a ton of naysayers anytime anything new comes out, but you see, wow, well, that's what we needed is another 7mm, just like we needed another 6.5mm. Well, to me, this one is unique because it is, in my mind, it is advancing ballistic technology through the higher pressure case and being able to get higher velocity out of a shorter barrel. And we haven't played with it a whole lot, but essentially you could also get even higher velocity with a longer barrel.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were talking about, is that there's people that are going to go that way. They're going to want to try to...
Yeah, for sure.
Where I'm, like you, I was excited about the 20-inch part, that you're still getting the speeds, that 3,000 feet a second, and that they came out with, it's 155 all the way up to a 195. So you've got quite a few bullet options in there.
Yeah. They're printed velocity out of, because they do, so... Some of the marking material that we have here, they're printed for a 24-inch barrel as 3150 for a 170 terminal ascent. Mm-hmm. So still going pretty fast. So.
I'm going to look up, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to just pull up my ballistics from the actual gun that I was shooting. It's almost there. Range card. Boom. Yeah, at 100 yards, my velocity at 100 yards was 28.57. This is with the terminal ascent bullet. At 800 yards...
the 155 or the 170?
170. At 800 yards, velocity is 1904 and energy is 1369. So probably right after that, you're going to get past that 1800 FPS and 1200 foot-pounds of kinetic energy, but 800 yards is a long way to be lethal.
Yeah, that's pretty long.
Out of a 20-inch barrel.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the 175 fusion tip and a 20-inch barrel. That's like 2975, and I shot 7 PRC with a 22-inch barrel with a 177 grain hammer, and it was about 100 feet per second slower than that. So it's just like, it is kind of crazy. Shorter barrel, going faster, grasping that concept. Usually it's always been shorter barrel, but it's not going to go as fast.
Yeah. I'm excited for this cartridge. I think Federal has done a good job on the design and the launch, and the next step will be, time will tell, like what kind of adoption will there be in the market. But generally we know that new sells products pretty well, and the 6.5 Creedmoor did phenomenal, had a pretty long run. We've definitely seen a substantial drop in rifles sold chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. Last year, I was looking at 307s. About half of the 307s we shipped last year were in 7 PRC. Mm-hmm. I remember at the time there was a lot of naysayers of 7 PRC, like that's just 7 rim mag with a fast twist. Okay, yeah.
Still sold well.
Not necessarily wrong, but apparently people wanted those heavy bullets. So now you get heavy bullets in a short barrel. It's pretty cool.
I'm excited about this one, and I don't really get the naysayers. Anybody that has something negative to say, I think it's kind of one of those that we'll know here soon. But the majority of the text, emails, calls that I got were all positive. So I think it's going to do really well.
Yeah, I just had to do a little. I'm excited. I think it's gonna rock the boat, and like I said, it is actually advancing firearms technology. You look at a case, a cartridge, hadn't changed a whole lot in a lot of years.
I was a naysayer when
core.
we first got them, when we first started shooting them, whatever that was, almost 2 years ago, or was it a year and a half?
Well, a year ago. Yeah.
But when you went to go shoot it, and I was like, short barrel, there's no way this, and then you were like, no, shoots really good, and
shoots great,
and it's doing everything they said it would. So
yeah. So we've got a whole smattering of firearms across Mark V and 307.
That's kind of the benefit of being in early on the project is like we've got 14 options right off the bat.
In the Mark V line, AccuMark Apex, Backcountry Guide, Backcountry Guide TI, Live Wild, and the Backcountry 2.0, High Country. 307, we've got the new XP 2.0, the Range SF, Adventure SD, Alpine MDT, MDT Carbon, Alpine CT, and the Hush Gun, and probably some more stuff that's in the works.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably.
Always stuff in the works.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for? Which in the new lineup are you most excited about?
Man, we kind of played this game on the end of the year podcast, and JD, I love the Alpine CT. I love it.
It's a tough one not to pick.
I also really, really like the Backcountry Guide.
Backcountry Guide was going to be my pick on that one.
Yeah, Guide or Guide TI. To me, it'd be hard for me to go outside of either of those.
Yeah. The other one that excites me too is just the Live Wild one, just because Remy's also a federal guy, so he got a lot of testing in early too. I know he's got some cool content coming. I think like one Live Wild gun is like, because there's like getting these out for hunts last fall, like 2 riders killed 2 elk, and then Remy got, so like this one gun that Remy has is either killed 2 or 3 elk, and it's like that stuff's kind of fun to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was it's hard. It's always hard when we're hunting with stuff or messing around doing research on stuff that's not fully out yet and you can't really talk about it. It's exciting, but it's just so fun to get an early preview of those things, see how they do in the field, give feedback, give accuracy feedback. It was a really good collaboration. I think Federal did a good job. So yeah. You went to a riders event in Minnesota.
I did, yeah. There was probably 50 people there, from riders to customers, like business customers, and it was fun. It was cool.
It was great in that timeline when everybody that went, they were like, didn't know if you knew about it. So anytime you talked to them, they were like kind of hinting around. And I was like, oh, no, we're helping out on that. So I know all about it.
So that was fun. It was in October. And it's like, well, I should have brought Swarovski and duck hunted or something while I was out there. But so time of the year.
It's like when your wife tells you that your friend's pregnant, but your friend hasn't told me that they're pregnant yet. And so you're like, do you know that I know what you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a rough analogy, but yeah.
No, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Third thing that we've talked about in recent history, and JD, I'll let you talk about this one, but because you got to go to the kickoff event for the new Swaro.
Yeah, they invited us to participate in the launch for Z5 Plus. That's what I did. Past life was the optic stuff. So
past life.
Past 2 pasts ago. We went out to Las Vegas, and they had, so the Z5 line, if you're not familiar with, it was a 1-inch tube, so they called that like the Sheep Hunter model. It's ultra lightweight. It's a great scope, but because it was 1 inch, you're limited on your travel. So so many people now want to shoot further. That was like one of the limitations with that. Also, the turret system on it was dots, so red, green, yellow. So that's what you mark.
This is the old one?
Yeah, the old one. The new one comes with an MOA dial or the dot system if you like that. But one of the biggest changes is they went to a 30 millimeter main tube. You have 80 minutes of travel. So any of the cartridges.
It's been kind of a knock on some of the Swaros was a little bit less travel.
Same thing with on the previous Z5, the windage. You were pretty limited. So sometimes you had to use the dovetail mounts to
to
to zero
more.
the gun. Yeah.
Mhm.
But this one, immediately there was, I don't remember how many people were there, but we immediately walked them out to 1,000, and
Yeah,
obviously,
80's a lot.
yeah, it's ton, excuse me, tons of travel, but like everybody was shooting 6.5 Creed, so it's not a speed gun, but they asked us to do that. So like we sent an Alpine CT well ahead. They had everything ready to go.
Mhm.
And a lot of the guys there are custom builders, so they're good shooters too. But I mean, it was really impressive watching guys just step it out right out of the box, to 1,000. And so I'm excited about that one. I got to hunt with one all fall. My wife did too, and it was performed great. And
Did she shoot that mule deer with that?
she did, yeah. So she had a custom Mark V, so it's like she had a custom gun and a scope that didn't exist yet, and
She got to play the game.
she did. Yeah.
I think I am definitely most excited about the MOA turret. We get to use a whole bunch of different stuff, so having something that's more mainstream,
Yeah.
buying into maybe the color system, that's kind of a big commitment. But
Yeah.
so I'm now more opt to try one of these. So
The lines too, so they have a 2 to 10 by 42, 3.5 to 18 by 50, which is my favorite, and then a 5 to 25 by 56. So
Nice.
should be something kind of for everybody.
And they're
regardless.
pretty light.
Yeah, I'd have to check on the other ones. Adam took a 2 to 10 to Alaska, and that was on a special thing. But this one, the Z5, the 3.5 to 18 is 22 ounces, so you're still getting all that, and it's right around 2,000 for your street price.
I was gonna say, it doesn't really break the bank too much for a higher end optic.
Yeah, it checks.
Yeah, if you look at stuff, the optics in that class, I mean, that's right in there.
Yeah,
sure.
Spending a lot of time with it this fall. The big thing that first few minutes and last few minutes of light, you can see well before. So with these, you just got to make sure that it is legal shooting light.
I'll put you on the spot a little, JD, because we were talking. Was that this morning or yesterday? We were talking about optics and guns a little bit, and you said that somebody told you, or you made it up, I can't remember, about
Probably made it
this
up.
is the worst lead-in ever. Talking about scopes and dollars. You can, once you buy your scope, you can't upgrade that thing.
It's a really common thing.
Do that spiel. It was
Got it,
really good.
got it, yeah.
I'm just butchering it.
I try to tell everybody that the moment that you buy a scope, that's the best it's ever going to be. A high quality scope will stay that way for 30 years, but you got to make sure that you're not rubbing the coatings off and all that. The gun, we can do things to. We can reload, we can get new stocks, we can get new barrels. There's things to make a gun.
You can upgrade that.
Yeah, you can upgrade. You can play Legos. You can't really play Legos with a scope. So to me, obviously being an optics nerd, that it's like you need to make the investment in a good optic, and then you choose, what gun you're going to go with from there. And then you should have a setup that should be a legacy item where you can pass it down to your kids and not them be like, thanks, Dad, I got this garage sale item. This is awesome.
So you're saying like Backcountry Guide shouldn't put like a $199 special on there?
I'd literally die inside when that happens, because everybody does the same thing. They
spend
go
a lot of money on a gun.
Yeah, and
they're
then
like, I got a $300 budget.
Exactly.
For an
The optic is the afterthought. They usually don't even think about it, period. They're like, I got $3,000. What can I buy for $3,000? And then they go buy the gun, and you're like, that's not going to be that effective if you got to shoot it without a scope on it.
It's like buying a TRD Pro and being like, man, I really don't want to put any tires on this thing.
That's the joke. You don't put crummy tires on a Porsche, right? It's just.
Yeah.
But the optic thing, I think it's totally overlooked in that whatever you're getting that day it comes out of the box.
I had never thought about it like that, and that's the part that I was trying to not say so you could say it, and I butchered that all up.
I did make it up,
But
so it's just completely fake news.
You're right. Once you buy that optic, it's the best it's ever going to be. I mean, you're going to scratch it, but a good one's going to last a long time. It's funny here. We have a range very close to here. We can go out to 1,000 yards. We take a lot of newer or somewhat inexperienced shooters out to 1,000 pretty often, and a lot of people are like, I didn't know I could do that. I never really thought I could do that. But you think about an average optic that's sub $500. It's not an externally adjustable turret. I think you need that. If you can hold over at 1,000, but it's going to be tough. But you start getting into more expensive optics, you get the feature set that you need to really go the distance. And I think we probably don't do a good enough job sometime explaining to people like, hey, yeah, the gun is capable, like from out of the gate, it can go 1,000 yards. It's doing the same thing that it did before you mounted the scope on it.
Yeah.
you're just helping it out now with putting a good optic, and you're really helping yourself out.
Yeah, and that's probably one of our number one customer service thing is like if someone can't get a gun to shoot, it starts with how you mount the optic a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So
There's so many factors to that, how it's done, and it's like a foundation of a house. If you can build the nicest house on the planet, but if you don't have a good foundation, it's not going to go well. Same thing with mounting a scope. It could be one of the best scopes there is, a $2,000 scope, but if you mount it wrong, it's not going to go great either.
yeah, I definitely encourage people to really dive into your own setup and like getting confidence in that because you might have the great rifle. The more you build confidence in your system, like no doubt in my mind when I go on an animal, it's like, yep, everything's dialed. But you do have those guys that sometimes when they shoot, they're like, ooh, was my scope off or was that me? Like you just start having all these doubts in your head. But if you kind of really build your own rifle and, get comfortable with that equipment, I think that goes a long ways in making good shots.
Reticles have changed a ton too now where it's like there is ballistic reticles, all that stuff where when I was young, it was a duplex, it was very simple. Now, if you don't understand your reticle, is it first or second focal plane? There's so many things that people don't know about their own setup that until you're out in the field and you whiff on a shot, you're going to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of a fun thing to do at show season to, talk about, third focal plane.
It's a new thing.
For the guy who knows everything.
You got to go ask those guys at Swaro about their third focal plane scope.
There's going to be people Googling it. Like,
I think that'd be fun. Left-handed ammo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. There's more coming. I'm like, I want to talk about it now, but it's just not time.
next 2 months is going to be pretty wild.
We got a lot of stuff in the incubator. It's gonna be another fun year.
Yeah, we did a 2025 planning meeting, and it was just like, ooh, we got a lot coming.
We went over on time and we didn't cover everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We've been busy. We're staying busy, and it's been a lot of fun. All that to say, don't not go buy a new gun if it's time for you to go buy a new gun. But because once we launch these other new things, there's going to be more new things behind them. So. We're pretty excited. We're going to be pushing the envelope in some areas this year, and it's going to be pretty cool.
If you can make it to some of the trade shows, come see us. Do we have that posted anywhere?
So we've been posting so that I know the guys are at Dallas right now. So when this comes out, it would have been last week. But if you're on our social, you'll get to see.
On Wednesday, we'll be headed to Sheep Show.
We'll be going Sheep Show. Then we go SCI. Then we'll go Western Hunt. And then for kind of the bird guys, in March we'll do Pheasant Fest, and then Northwest Hunt Expo is also in March. So we're doing a bunch of different stuff this year.
I ran at lunch today, and it just made me think of it. But
I know what you're gonna say.
Element 2?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say the Mountain Tough workout we got to do in Sheep Show.
That's coming at Sheep Show. But there was more ducks than there have been on the North Park Trail here than there have been maybe all season. And I just made me think of the Element 2 that also just launched. Yeah. So check out the new Element 2 shotgun. One of my favorite comments was like right after we announced that, or was that last week? I can't even keep them all straight anymore.
From the podcast, it would have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, they were like, I just bought an Element 1. Now I have to get another one.
Yeah.
That's the way you're supposed to do it.
There was a lot. It is good to see when people are like, ooh, I have an Element 1. Now I'm going to buy the Element 2 and 20 gauge. Like, I saw a lot of those comments, too. So
yeah, well, I was really happy. I was wishing I had one on the run multiple times. I was like, these ducks are just sitting there. It's great. But
yeah, buy that bridge.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking. They like to keg up there.
Oh, yeah.
They do. And they were pretty heavy today. And by the water treatment plant, there's a little bend in the river right there that they just pile up. And there's that section between the park and the bridge where they fly really low. Like I was trying to race them. They're just fast.
They're just really fast.
It was a good time. So stay tuned, I guess, is what we're trying to say. Come see us, visit us at a show, and we're happy to show you any and all of these in person. Put your hands on them. We might even sell you one.
Yeah, check us out online or go to your local dealer. Ask them about Weatherby.
Thanks.